So get ready, because today we're going to dive into Bitcoin and government reserves. Pretty wild stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely fascinating.
Yeah. Have you ever wondered what happens when a president decides to treat Bitcoin like it's a strategic asset? Just like oil or something?
Like a national strategic reserve.
Yeah, exactly, like a national strategic reserve. Get ready for some surprises, because we're going to shook up the entire financial world.
Well, what's interesting here is that you have like this image of the U.S. government, you know, kind of steeped in tradition, but then suddenly they make this move that screams like future finance.
Right.
It's kind of like your grandpa
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those who didn't hear about this, we're talking about former President Trump, who signed this executive order to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This isn't just like, dipping their toes in crypto. This is like jumping in head first. Yeah, exactly.
Bitcoin has been gaining a lot of momentum, and institutional investors are starting to really get into it. And then on top of that, you have the global economy going kind of crazy with all this inflation and geopolitical uncertainty. Everyone's looking for a safe place for their money, and
In the middle of all this craziness, Trump saw Bitcoin as a way for the U.S. to kind of stay on top of the financial world.
Exactly. It wasn't just about getting on board with this new technology. It was a strategic move, you know.
Oh, wow.
By establishing the U.S. was saying, hey, we're serious about this whole
I get it. So how does this Bitcoin reserve actually work? When we're talking like Fort Knox, but with servers instead of gold bars?
It's less about having like a physical vault and more about having this digital ownership. So the executive order was all about acquiring assets that they seized from crypto criminals.
Oh, wow. So the bad guys are actually helping to fund the U.S. Bitcoin stash.
Yeah, kind of ironic, isn't it?
That's amazing. But who's going to be in charge of this?
Well, the idea was to have the Federal Reserve manage. They were even thinking about using Bitcoin for international transactions.
Really?
Potentially to reduce how much they rely on the US dollar in certain situations.
Wait a minute, so the U.S. is saying, hey, maybe
Yeah, it's definitely a change in how they do it. Remember when El Salvador made Bitcoin their official currency?
Yeah, I remember that.
That caused a lot of buzz. It brought in more investment in tourism, but it also made people worry about how much Bitcoin's value goes up and down and how it's not really regulated.
That's true. But what the U.S. is doing is different. They're not saying get rid of it all. They're just adding.
Exactly. They're being more cautious with this. They see the potential of Bitcoin, but they also know that its value can change a lot and that there are a lot of rules and regulations they need to meet.
Okay, so this is a pretty interesting. The U.S. government and Bitcoin. So what could happen because of all of this? What are the potential economic and political consequences that we should be thinking about?
So let's start with the economic side of things. This move could potentially make more people want to buy Bitcoin. And this is where it could actually make the US dollar even stronger as the main currency that everyone uses around the world. It's like they're saying, hey, we're not afraid of Bitcoin. In fact, we're going to use it to our advantage.
That's kind of a paradox. But I'm worried about you.
This whole thing could attract even more investors to the cryptocurrency market.
Wow, so this is like shaking up a snow globe and we're waiting to see where all the snowflakes land.
That's a good way to put it.
What about the political implications?
On the political side, this move is a clear message It's a power move on a global scale. It could create tension with countries that aren't so sure about crypto.
Oh, yeah.
Just imagine the conversations that are happening behind closed doors in those countries.
Cats assets are digital and they move at the speed of light.
You got it. It's completely uncharted territory. Figuring out the rules and regulations for this is going to be really important if this whole experiment is going to work.
Okay, so I know this is a lot of tricks. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Because understanding these trends is crucial in today's world.
It's like learning a new language. It might seem hard at first, but once you get the basics, you can understand a whole new world.
So for those of you who are thinking, this is all very interesting, how does this affect me? What are the key takeaways here?
First of all, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Whether you're investing in traditional assets or crypto, you need to diversify. Think of your investment portfolio like a well-balanced meal.
I like that.
A little bit of everything is good. Exactly. And the second thing is stay informed. The crypto world is so fast. Keep an eye on what's happening with regulations and market trends.
Got it. So knowledge is power and diversification is key. Maybe a little bit of an adventurous spirit wouldn't hurt either, right?
Yeah, maybe, but always be careful. This is still
What are your thoughts on the future of cryptocurrency?
It's like watching a rocket launch. The U.S. establishing this Bitcoin reserve was a big moment. I think we're going to see even more people and companies start using cryptocurrencies or CBDCs.
CBDCs, tell me more about that.
So imagine a digital version of like the dollar or the euro, but it's issued and backed by the government.
So instead of using like a digital wallet from a private company.
Exactly. And that raises a lot of questions about
It seems like we're on the edge of a whole new era of money.
Mm-hmm.
The line between digital and traditional finance is getting really blurry.
It is. It's a super interesting time to be alive, but it's also a time to be cautious.
Any other words of wisdom before we wrap
Just remember that the world of finance is always what seems revolutionary today might be normal tomorrow. The important thing is to stay curious, keep learning, and don't be afraid to adapt to the changes that are happening.
this up? That's great advice. I'm feeling Speaking of complexities, there's one more question I wanted to explore before we move on.
Yeah, it really feels like we've entered this totally new financial frontier, you know?
Right.
There's this gold rush mentality, but the gold is digital this time.
Okay, so we've talked about some of the good things, but let's get real for a second. What are the risks here?
Right. Well, I mean, nothing's ever a sure thing, right? Especially
Yeah.
when it comes to money and finances. But one of the biggest risks is the volatility.
I can see the headlines now. U.S. Bitcoin reserve loses billions overnight.
Exactly. You know, it would be all over the news.
And then all the late night comedy shows would be making jokes about it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And remember that Met box?
That's a scary thought.
Talk about a security nightmare. So, yeah, security is a huge concern.
Right. But even with like the best security systems in place, isn't there always the risk of like what if somebody accidentally sends address?
That could definitely happen. It's like that saying, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And in this case, the weakest link could be just one person making a mistake.
It feels like we're handing over the keys to the kingdom. There's something that we don't even fully understand.
Yeah, that's a good question. We're basically running this huge experiment with the global financial system, and there's a lot at stake.
No doubt about it. So what does all this mean for the average person? Should we be running out to buy Bitcoin right now?
Remember what we said about diversification?
Oh, yeah.
That's still really important. And do your own research.
Yes.
Don't just follow the hype blindly.
Okay, good advice. It's easy to get caught up in all the excitement, especially when you see the price of
The whole world of finance is constantly evolving, and we need to be ready to adapt and learn new things if we want to be successful.
So speaking of the future, where do you think this crypto roller coaster is heading next?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball, but I do think that people and businesses using cryptocurrencies in their everyday lives.
Interesting.
We're already starting to see big companies incorporating crypto into how they handle payments, and then there's this whole other thing with central bank. Digital version of your country's currency, but it's issued and backed by the government, like a digital version of the dollar bill or the euro.
So instead of using a digital wallet from some private company, I'd
Exactly. And that brings up a whole bunch of new questions about privacy.
It sounds like we're about to enter a whole new world of money. The lines between digital and traditional finance are getting blurrier and blurrier all the time.
Absolutely. It's really exciting to think about, but it's also important to be careful and
Any other wisdom you want to share before we move on?
What seems revolutionary today could be totally normal tomorrow. The key is to stay curious, keep learning, and be open to change.
Great advice. You know, I'm actually
All about lifelong learning, right?
Right. Okay, so there's one more question I wanted to explore before we move on to our last segment. So we've been talking a lot about the U.S. and this whole Bitcoin reserve thing, but it makes you wonder, what about everyone else?
Right. Are we going to see like a global
Start scrambling to buy up all the Bitcoin?
It's definitely something that a lot of people are thinking about, especially countries that want to be big players on the world stage. They might feel like they have to follow the U.S.'s lead.
It's like peer pressure.
Yeah, exactly. It could become like a matter of a way to show that their economy is strong. But it's not just about keeping up with the Joneses either.
Right.
Some countries might see this as a way to protect themselves if the U.S. dollar starts to lose its value.
That's just like a backup.
It's a way to reduce their if something bad happens in the global economy.
Okay, that makes sense. But wouldn't all these countries buying up Bitcoin just make the price go even higher?
It's possible. If there's more demand, the price is probably going to go up. Remember, the market and what kind of regulations are being put in place, and even new technologies that are being developed.
So it's really complicated.
Yeah, it is. It's a complex system, and trying to predict exactly what's going to happen is safe to say that things are changing in a big way. Cryptocurrencies are making people rethink what money really is, and governments are trying to figure out how to adapt to this new reality. The US
I agree. It feels like there's a lot of uncertainty, but also a lot of potential for amazing things to happen.
Absolutely. It's like we're exploring uncharted territory, but there could be incredible discoveries.
Well said. Well, folks, that's about it for our deep dive into Bitcoin and national reserves. We've covered a lot of ground today, but remember, this is just the beginning. There's always more to learn about this exciting.
And don't forget to check out the show notes for best stuff out there.
And let us know what you think. Do you think other countries are going to jump on this Bitcoin bandwagon? What do you see happening in the long run? Join the conversation on our social media channels, and let's keep this discussion going.
Love your feedback.
So until next time, stay curious. And remember, the future of finance is in our hands.
That's right. We have the power to shape it.
Thanks for joining us for The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into a topic that's shaping our world. Bye for now.